Yes, that is peer evaluation. Then I remembered my own experience when we were in 6th class. Our mathematics teacher, he used to tell the students, he used to give one question or one problem, ask us to solve the problem. And what he used to say is, whoever solves first, and if it is correct, he can stand on the dais on my side and put signature on all the notebooks when they submit it. How proud you feel if you have that chance of signing your classmates' notebooks. If it is correct it, right or wrong, and then put your signature. That is how we were taught when we were students. That is the motivation that is required. So that's why I'm motivated from that day onwards. I'm very good in mathematics, not in physics. Yes. But destiny decided that I should take physics. In fact, I scored 100 out of 100 in BSc mathematics. So that is how you can small activities will ignite students. We never know what happens. We don't understand the importance of that, but it will be igniting the students. So that is how you have to evolve your own methodology. Out of the box thinking teachers. Each teacher is individual, unique. No two teachers teach the same way. So you have to adapt your own methodology. How you choose the methodology? In OBE, you must see what is required from the student's point of view. You must think as a student and then start teaching. So that is how you have to improve the classroom pedagogy. So that is what I wanted to tell you. Then let us continue. Yes, next one. Over. Yes. This is very pertinent. These two slides are very important. You can understand why should there be assessment at all. In what way assessment helps you in OBE? I am talking about with reference to OBE. I will read out these questions. The first one is, what do you want students to know? The first question. What do you want students to know? What do you want students to be able to do? So your assessment is guided by these questions. Next question. How will you find out whether they know what you want them to know? What is that? What you want them to know? Yes, your course outcomes. Whether they have learned what you wanted them to know, and how will you find out whether they have the skills you intend them to have? This is the philosophy of assessment in OBE. Please understand these questions. How well do they know what you wanted them to know? And then, to what extent do they have the skills you intended them to have? Because it is only knowledge. It is the skills. It is the attitudes. Everything you want to promote under POs. So whether you have that or not. Now that you have the answers to the above questions, what actions should you take to improve student learning even further? So this assessment should help you to improve the students' knowledge, skills, attitude. Not to test the student alone, to improve their skills so that it acts as a feedback for you. That's why we are saying continuous internal assessment and semester examination. Why should you have continuous internal assessment? This is called as, this is also some people, education people call it as, this is a formative assessment, summative assessment. Formative assessment is, it is the continuous internal evaluation. I don't call it as evaluation, assessment. It is not evaluation. Assessment is different from evaluation. I will tell you the difference between that. So you want to assess whether the students are following what you are teaching, whether they have acquired the skill, what they are expected to acquire. That is being tested, because at the end of the semester, you cannot do anything. Only during the semester, you can do something. So that's why this continuous internal assessment should promote this particular activity. You have to assess whether they have acquired the skills or not. If they are not acquired, how best you see, so that they acquire the skills that are required. This is the philosophy of continuous internal assessment or the formative assessment. The next slide, please. Yes. So what students learning do we want to assess? It is knowledge, skill, or attitudes. That is also to be decided. And then what do we hope to find out? What specific information is needed? These are all the questions. What is best assessment method or demonstration of learning? How will we gather the information we need? How will we make sense of our findings? How will we make sure that we are comparing different cases appropriately? And how can or should our findings be used to bring about improved student learning? This is the philosophy of assessment. So afterwards, you read these questions. If you read first, you may not be able to understand the philosophy behind it. Twice, thrice, then you can enjoy these questions. And accordingly, you can help the student community. The next slide, please. You see here, just 1 minute. Go back. So you see here, I have told you the purpose of assessment is to increase quality. Yes, he is watering the plant. This is assessment. And then evaluation. Evaluation is, yes, assessment is to increase the quality. And evaluation is to judge the quality. Too short and not enough leaves. That is what he says. That is evaluation. He has not acquired certain things. The assessment is to promote quality, and to assess quality is the evaluation. So this is the difference, subtle difference between these two. Next slide. So there are two types of assessments: direct assessment and indirect assessment. Maybe you are not familiar with this type of differentiation between the assessments. And we are only familiar with direct assessment. Always we are based on direct assessment. In direct assessment, there are two things. One is the continuous internal evaluation, right? And the second one is the semester end examination. These are the two components that go into direct assessment. And indirect assessment, course exit feedback from students. This is very important. If you are not implementing, you have to implement that. Course exit feedback. What should be the contents? I will tell you. The feedback form, that is important. So course exit feedback from students. So these are the two: direct assessment, indirect assessment. So this under OBE, importance is given to both direct as well as indirect. Next one. So assessment methods for different Bloom's cognitive skills. Remembering, understanding, applying, to certain extent analyzing. They can go into fixed hour examinations, either continuous evaluation or end semester evaluation. Not that the other skills cannot go into the examination, but at that level, evaluation and creation, it takes more time for the student to answer. So that's why within a limited time, you are asking some questions and asking the students to write. So we can do justice only to the first 3 or 4 levels, mostly 3 levels, to certain extent 4th. This is what I am talking about, the written examinations. Fixed hour examinations. Internal you give 1 hour and end semester you give 3 hours. He has to answer the questions within that 3 hours or within this 1 hour. So because this time limitation is there, in this time you may not be able to do justice for the measuring the higher order skills, especially evaluating and creating. Then how to test it? There are other ways, I will tell you. So there you can see starting if I divide it into two categories: lower order skill, higher order skills. Higher order skills can be assessed by means of other assessment methods, not written tests. Those other assessment methods being, you can have course projects, mini projects, minor project, capstone project, or some other activities. I will highlight those things also. So the next slide, please. Traditional examinations such as multiple choice, true false, or short answer, long answer test can be used to assess students' understanding to of content knowledge and their ability to apply concept. That's what I told you. First 3 levels easily you can test in that. And you see here, it is very interesting to see. There is a judge there. Everybody has the same exam. Please climb the tree, he says. So you see what are the animals that are present? And there is a fish, there is a monkey, elephant, and he is trying to measure their ability by this activity. Climb the tree. Yes, the next one. So what is wrong with our education system is this. Everybody is genius. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, can it climb a tree, a fish? It will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. But it is not stupid. We are making them stupid by way of assessment methods that we are using. So that is what I wanted to emphasize. The next slide, please. So these are various direct assessment tools for higher order abilities. You can consider some of them in your college. Seminars, course projects, open-ended experiments in laboratories, project-based learning modules, and MOOCs. MOOCs courses also can be given importance so that it promotes lifelong learning, that PO. There is one PO corresponding to lifelong learning. It promotes that, you can relate it to that. And co-curricular experiences, mini minor projects, and final year projects, internship experiences, e-portfolios of the student works. E-portfolios means throughout the semester what he is doing, he will register. So using that e-portfolio, you can assess his capacity. So these are the assessment tools other than the two internal tests you are conducting, written tests. Other than written tests, through these activities or through these exercises, you can test the higher order skills. So this is, please remember that assessment should be for both lower order skills and higher order skills. So higher order skills can be assessed through these methods. Which method is applicable to you, or you can adopt, you can adopt it. Because seminars you are conducting, and also presentations, group presentations, group discussions, there are so many activities. Yes. Next one, please. So here, just I would like to say the present education system again is entering into the mill. These students. And creativity is going as a waste. Discipline is going as a waste. And intelligence is going out. And they are coming out with degrees. So this is the state of affairs. So outcome-based education will change the scenario. Like next slide, please. Yes. Setting of question papers at the level, remember. Now, because you wanted me to talk about setting of question papers, certain things are not covered in the presentation. I will explain you. For setting of the question papers, the madam was telling that you have external setting. Though we follow, some of the examiners will not stick to the guidelines. What is to be done? So yours is an autonomous college. So what you have to do, the first thing, if you are not doing it already, you should develop question banks. For a quality college, it's a must. This question bank should consist of questions CO wise, taxonomy level wise. Indicate the taxonomy, CO, and prepare a question bank for the entire syllabus for all the 4 units. Then at the department level, you have a meeting and decide what should be the component for remember and understand. What percentage of questions should belong to remember and understand. And for apply, what is the percentage? For other higher order skill, what should be the percentage? You decide. Respect to the departments. Respect to the departments. You are the best judges. If you want, you can have a common this thing also. There is nothing wrong. But what is good, or how can we achieve quality through the assessment? That's what I'm telling. So left to me, I say, remember and understand should not be there. But overnight, you cannot change it. Unless we improve our pedagogy in the classroom, we cannot improve just the question paper standard and then ask them to give answers. It's not possible. So to start with, you have some percentage for remember and understand, apply. So slowly over a period of time, you reduce the percentage of remember and understand component and increase the component of higher order cognitive skills. Because OBE and NEP 2020, it gives importance for the promotion of higher order skills among the students, not the lower order skills. If they have the higher order skills, automatically they will have the lower order skill. Without remembering and without understanding, can they apply any principle? No. So if you are asking a question and apply, you are testing three things. Whether he is remembering what is taught in the classroom, whether he is understood whether what is taught, and he knows where to apply this. Ultimately, it will be useful to him only when he can apply what he has learned. So what is lacking today is the application, analysis, evaluation, and creation. So that should be promoted under OBE. How we can promote? Through assessment methods. This is one way. So prepare a question bank, CO wise, and this. And because if you are writing unit wise CO, that is different. But you give a format, right? In that format, you write question number 1. Don't write the question. So it should be in the CO level. This should be the Bloom's taxonomy level. You send that as a model paper to the external examiner and see and get it moderated afterwards, because there is a provision for moderation. Let the other department moderate the papers. And you must see that when you are implementing this must be, it is not a private document. Question bank is not a private document. List out all possible questions, all types of questions, short answers, long answers. If you have objective, problems, everything can be included in this. And that should not be static. It should be dynamic, in the sense that collect the feedback from the external examiners where you are sending the question paper, feedback from the students, from other peers, and keep on changing every year the question bank. And also put a restriction to the extent of 80% or 70%, you should restrict to the question bank. The remaining 25 or 30%, you can use your own discretion and set up the questions within the syllabus, but confining to this particular format. So the format is to be approved by the department, and that format will be sent to the examiner. There is nothing wrong in sending the book. You are saying that section A consists of short questions, 1 to 5 questions. All questions carry equal marks. Like that you are doing it. So question number 1, you know you are the better judge. Which COs are to be assessed? You might have assessed some of the COs very well in your other assessment methods, not only the CE written test. So you are the best judge. What CO is to be asked and what should be the taxonomy level that? Because CO, let us say, it starts with analyze. Okay. Analyze includes the lower order levels also. You have to climb the ladder. Without stepping the first 2, you cannot go to the third step directly. So when you are testing in third, that means remember and understanding are included in that. So because CO1 starts with apply action verb, that does not mean that you have to ask questions only at apply level. Please remember that. You can ask some questions, because my aim is, because mostly the stems of the COs or the action verbs will not include remember and understand. Yes. Most of this time, you see, whatever I have seen some of your COs in your website. Everything starts with the higher order skills. So higher order skill, and because we are putting some limitation on the lower order skills also, you have to promote that also. Remember and understand. Some questions you will ask. So accordingly, you frame the question paper and send it to the examiner. Then most of your problems will be solved. Do it as an exercise, some sample test like this, and send it. Ask them to set. You can do that. You can start practicing it as an example, right? One trial you can make it and see whether it will be successful or not. Otherwise, always there is a scope to come back to your own methodology. But I am sure that it will work, provided you choose the correct examiner. Examiners who are aware of OBE. Yes, I'll answer. Which one? Oh yes, definitely. All practicals are higher order skills only, to promote higher order skills. They are applying the principles, they are evaluating, they are creating. Open-end experiment, they are creation. Project is a creation, they are creating something. So higher order skills will be taken care by practicals also. But even in theory, you can promote those skills, higher order skills. So this is, of course, remember, because this is all available in literature, skill demonstrate and verbs per test. What verbs you can use under remember? Questions start with these verbs, action verbs. These are all available in net. Action verbs are Bloom taxonomy level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can download and see. Whatever verbs are appropriate, then you can use these verbs for setting the question papers. Yes. Yes. Hmm. Yes. Yes. Right. 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 Oh, yes, you can follow. There is nothing wrong. That's why I said OBE, there is no rigid rule. What suits your people, you have to adopt that. There is no fixed rule that you have to give only apply or evaluate and don't ask and remember and understand. Nobody will tell you. But ultimately, what they see is the quality of the institution is judged by the quality of the question paper. So any examination, you must keep one thing in mind. That is the basic philosophy of any examination. The average student must be able to pass the examination. The question paper should be set such that the average student can pass the examination. A good student can score about 60–70%. An excellent student can score 90%. That should be the philosophy of any examination. Because I know I worked as controller of examinations of Usmania University for some time, and business statistics paper was there in commerce. Professor Goyal, I don't know anybody knows him. He is no more. He has set a question paper, business economics, business statistics 1 year. The percentage I passed was 9. The entire university. There was a big furore. Next year, somebody else has set the question paper. It is 70% result. No, I don't say he is wrong. The first person who has set and where the result is only 9%. I don't say he is wrong. But any examiner, because you are also maybe appointed as examiner for some other colleges. Please keep this in mind. Philosophy of examination is not to fail the student, just to know what the student knows and help the students through examination. An average student, he must be able to pass having spent 3 years here. He has listened to your lecture. He has a right to pass the examination. So we have no right to fail him. So see that he passes the examination through our pedagogy. That is what I am saying. Through our pedagogy, make him work, make him pass, instead of leaving it like that. So that is the philosophy of examination. So there is no set rule that you should have that much percentage or this much percentage here. But generally, this is agreed principle. An average student must be able to pass the examination. So this like this, you have the second next slide. Because I don't want to spend time on this. Yes. These are the action verbs for level understand. Describe, explain, paraphrase, restate, associate, contrast. Without knowing Bloom's taxonomy, we start questioning like this only. Describe a CRO. Describe a CRO, cathode ray oscilloscope. So this is level of understanding. Next one. So these are the verbs. Apply, calculate, predict, apply, solve, illustrate, use. Many people use wherever there is a problem here, even numerical problem, it comes under apply. He is applying the principles what he has learned under understand and remember, and he is applying here level. So this question is about that. Next one. Analyze, classify, outline, break down, categorize, analyze. So he has to analyze under this. In a given situation, he will analyze and break down into a complex problem into smaller ones and then try to solve it. That is the analysis. Next one, evaluate. Next one, create, design, formulate, build, invent, create, compose, generate, derive, modify, like this. So these are all the action verbs that can be used as stems for setting a question paper. So afterwards, you can go through this, and also it is available on the net. Next one. Okay, this I will skip. Next. Yes. So under direct assessment, continuous internal evaluation. Under this, Most of the colleges have this. That's why I'm highlighting these things. That is internal assessment written test. Periodical test you conduct. First test after 6 weeks and the second test after 12 weeks or something. You have your own schedule. How many internal tests you are conducting? 2 tests. Yes. Internal assessment written test. That is one. And then assignments. Do you give assignments and evaluate them? Give the marks? That is one. Quiz. And project work. Seminars. Seminars also can be evaluated. So these are all some of the components that can go into direct assessment under continuous internal evaluation. Because as I told you, some of these higher order skills cannot be assessed in the written test. For such things, you evolve. Given assignment, he may take his own time, 3 days, 4 days. Evaluate can go into that. Analyze can go into that. Create can go into that. As an assignment, give a problem, ask him to solve. He may refer books, right? And that is where the other methods other than written tests come into play when you are considering the higher order skills. So the next one is semester end examination, right? These are the two things for direct assessment. And indirect assessment, course exit, feedback. Next slide, please. Calculation of direct course attainments through internal test. Right? And number of students attempted. Anyhow, you give the test. There will be so many questions and identify to which CO they belong to each question. Right? And then how many have attempted that question? For example, CO 101.1 and some 50 students. There may be choice also in that. So that's why I'm giving different numbers. And no, whatever it is, if it is common to everybody, multiple choice is common to everybody. But you have some choice, isn't it? Choose any 2 of the following or 3 of the following. In such cases, everybody that differs. That's why I said number of students attempted that question. Attempted. CO 101.1. How many students have attempted that? Right? 50. And you are putting a threshold value for that. This threshold value, I expect all my students to get more than 70% in the internal test. That is the threshold I am fixing it. You are at liberty. The department can fix a threshold. Depending upon the feedback and also the earlier performance of the students, you can fix. There is no rigid rule that it should be 70. It could be 60, it could be 80. Right? Threshold value. You have to have a threshold value so that how many students in the class who have answered that question are above the threshold value. Right? 70% I am fixing it. Number of students above the threshold value I have given. What is the percentage? So for first course outcome, 80% of my students are above the threshold value. So like that for each of the CO, I have written down and calculated the average. And here the last column, level of attainment, I am using a rubric here. You see in the green color, rubric. What is that rubric? If the percentage of students above the threshold is more than or equal to 70%, then attainment level is 3. This is how I am defining for my course. It is left to you, you can define. And similarly, if it is between 60 and 70, attainment level 2, otherwise attainment level 1. So based on the percentage of students above the threshold, that is 80, 62.5, 51, 83.6, etc. I am giving the level of attainment as 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. Then take the average of that, 2.25. Have you followed this or not? So this is the calculation part. I am not doing it. How you do it? Each question you take, how many questions are there under C 101.1? First question, third question, add up those marks, percentage. That is only logistics. But the philosophy I am explaining you. This is how you should do. Threshold value, you fix it. How many students are above the threshold value? Depending upon the percentage and the rubric that you decide, you give the level of attainment. Right? In a similar way, the attainment through internal test 2 can also be calculated. This is for internal 1. It can be changed. It could be based on the subject also. Course also, there is no rigid rule for that. But you cannot have the threshold value is 30% or 40%, isn't it? Yes, 70% course too. If it is a tough course, it could be 60 also. Threshold value. Is the department? No, not necessary. This need not to go to academic council, madam. Yes, it's not necessary. It is a department level. You can decide this. No, that is true. No, why I am telling you, department head of the department is the best judge for that. You can just for information you can inform in the academic council. Yes, document it. Document why you are putting it as 60, why you are putting it as 70. You have to document it. The reason. Are the level of difficulty of the paper also. Some are theoretical in nature, some are practical in nature. More scoring, less scoring. As a teacher, you all know there are some subjects where scoring is very difficult. In some subjects, scoring is easy. There is no point in having a threshold, same threshold for all papers, isn't it? Yes, that way you can change it. If you want to have uniform, nobody will object. And because it is an internal, you are bound to be liberal. That's why I'd put it as 70 there. 70% threshold. I'll tell you that also. Okay, let me clarify this. Even practical courses have a course number. Do you agree with that or not? For each course number, you should have separate outcomes and separate calculation. Course number. If it is part of the course practicals, then it is different. But it is not part of the course. It is independent. So for practical course, separately you have to do it. So whatever courses you have, including practicals, and for projects also in some departments may have course number. Wherever you have a course number, for that course, you have to follow separately. So like that for all courses, you prepare this table. Is it difficult? No. Have you understood the concept? So repeat it for all the courses. Each course will have a table like this. And you have course attainment, average of this last column. So the course attainment C101 is 2.25. This is internal one, I'll tell you. Let us cross the bridge when you come near it. This is the first step, right? 2.25 is the average in first internal test. That is the attainment. Next slide, please. Yes. So attainment in first internal is 2.25. Attainment in second internal is 2.75. Let us say. Same way you calculate. And attainment in assignment is 2.7. Attainment in seminar is 2.5. There also you give some marks for assessments, right? And seminars also you give marks, and even presentations you give. Everywhere you give marks. But other than written tests where marks are directly awarded, for other tools, you should prepare a rubric. How you are going to give marks. What you expect the students from the students for the other components. That I will explain you. Rubric, it is rubric here, marks only I have given. But for others, what you are going to test also, that rubric must be made public to the students. That's next one. Oh, no, not wait. So attainment in quiz 2.9 and take the average of all these things. Last column. So what are we getting? Direct attainment of CO 101 in CIE 2.63. Right? For your course, this is the value. So each teacher will calculate up to this and give it to the committee, because teacher will not do the PO attainments, because at a higher level, at a common level, you have to do PO attainments. So you must collect all the CO attainments from the teachers at a centralized place. You have to calculate the PO attainments. So this is for course. I hope you have followed up to this. Next slide, please. Similarly, work out for end semester examination. Now here my question is it possible to get question wise marks in end semester examination? Do the teachers have access? Then you cannot calculate CO wise. 101.1 you cannot calculate because only overall marks if you have access. It is difficult. But ultimately, you may have to switch your software and see that question marks wise marks are made available to the teachers in the long run, if not immediately, after 2-3 years in the university examination. Because we don't know C101.1, what questions we have asked, how many marks are scored. Based on that only we are calculating, no? Isn't it? Otherwise, what happens is only you take the total marks and work out only on that. Not this table is not suitable for that. When is this table suitable? Only if you know what are the marks scored by the student under C101.1. No, it is not available now, presently. Only total marks in the course you have. So based on the total marks, you write the rubrics. How many students have got threshold value? I am fixing it 60. Threshold value, I am fixing it 60. Because it is end semester examination, I am lowering my bar. Right? 60. And then how many are above 60? Then in that case, what you do is forget about this 101.1, 1.2, 1.3, etc. Only CO 101. That's all. How many students have appeared and how many are above the threshold value? Depending upon that percentage, same rubric here. 3, 2, 1. And find out average will not work. That only level of attainment you will directly get it. Only one row will do for you, not so many rows. This is applicable only when question wise marks in the end semester examinations are made available to the concerned teachers. Remember that. Otherwise, only one row, total marks, that's all. Right? Either way, it is all right, don't bother. But if you want to see the performance CO wise in the end semester examination, because you have access in internal assessment, you are awarding marks. So you are calculating like that, but end semester examination you don't calculate. So right, next one. Next slide, I guess. I told you a rubric for assessment for other than the written test. It has a format. I will tell you next. This is the structure of a rubric. Other than where marks are given, direct marks. Criteria. What criteria you are going to judge? Criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3. And then score, level of performance, rubric title. Next slide, if you see, you will have an idea. Next slide. So this is for seminar presentation rubric. What is the criteria I am seeing? Content I am seeing, knowledge and understanding, and discussion. And how I am marking? For example, maximum marks are 5. Right? The first one, the material presented was complete, precise, and well supported by facts and figures. I give the marks. So this is called a rubric. You have to develop a rubric like this for all the assessment tools which do not carry direct marks. You cannot award directly marks there. Otherwise, what happens? It will be subjective, isn't it? It is left to the discretion of this teacher. For some seminar, you give 5 out of 5, for some 3 out of 5. They will ask how you have given. So this rubric must be made known to the student. So prepare rubrics for all these activities and give it to the student. If you are presenting like this, then you will get full marks. Otherwise, you will get 3. Otherwise, you will get 1. This is the philosophy of rubric. This is how it is useful both to the teacher. There will not be any subjectivity. You can answer the queries from the students. And this is what you have to do. Next slide, please. Okay. Now computation of direct attainment for C101. So we have CIE. Through CIE, what is the attainment? And through end semester examination. For direct attainment, we consider 30% of CIE. What is the ratio you have? 30-70 or 40-60? 30-70. So because our college has gone for 40-60. Because why I am telling you the philosophy 40-60, the internal assessment will be more objective. And we are able to evaluate each CO properly. Whereas end semester examination, it is not in your hands. So that's why we are giving enough weightage to this. You also can think, if the university is permitting, you can bring it to 40 and end semester examination 60. It is left to you. It is a policy decision. And so what you have to do for direct assignment, attainment, you have to consider 30% weightage of the attainment of CIE and 70% weightage of this end semester examination. Now you can see attainment in continuous internal evaluation is 2.63. Earlier slide I have shown you how you got it, 2.63. And attainment in SE is 2.17. Now what I am doing, 30% of 2.63 plus 70% of 2.17. So that will be the total direct attainment, 2.31. So this is how you can calculate the attainments for the course. This is the total attainment. So ultimately, this course attainment will be used for the calculation of PO attainment. Isn't it? PO attainment is calculated based on the CO attainment only. This is how you have to compute the CO. If you have any doubts, you please get the clarification. Take the clarification. Have you followed this procedure or not? Yes. No, you can deviate because this question bank you are preparing, you need, it is not necessary that exactly you have to repeat it. Because as a teacher, I know in a unit, how many questions you can frame, you tell me, or in a paper, in a subject. In a course, how many long answer questions you can prepare? Mostly some 15, 16. Each unit 4 maximum. Similarly, short answers maybe 20 questions. Objective, you need not prepare question bank, but multiple long answers and short answers you can prepare. And you see that these are distributed as per the course outcomes. That is the philosophy. Course outcomes should be mentioned against each question and taxonomy level. So this is how you can calculate the direct assignment for a course. So like this, okay. Then for all courses, you can calculate this. You will get different values for different course attainments. Next slide. Slide, please. Now that is direct attainment. Now indirect attainment. Direct attainment is through continuous internal evaluation and end semester examination. 30% of continuous internal evaluation and 70% of end semester. That is direct attainment is over. Now indirect attainment. So when you have completed the course, towards the end we will answer. Towards the end, if you can tell. So coming to the indirect assessment. After the completion of the course, you would like to know, because you have asked some questions to answer in this CIE and the end semester examination. But I want to know whether he is able to acquire the course outcomes or not. What is his impression about this course? So at the end of the course, the teacher has to collect a survey, or you give them questionnaire and answer them to answer. So what should be the questionnaire? I'll tell you. Next slide. Yes. This is course and survey. I call it as course and survey. There will be two surveys, program and survey, course and survey. This is course and survey. How well do you feel you have acquired a conceptual foundation on accounting concepts and conventions with a focus on accounting cycle? This pertains to CO 101.1. That means with each of the outcome, you have to take the feedback. If there are 5 outcomes for a course, 5 questions. The first 5 are based on the course outcomes that you have formulated for that. Based on that, poor, average, good, excellent. So yes, no, partially. So some answers are given. He has to choose it. Right? And in addition to that, so these 5
1 second, sir. Hello. Check. I'll check. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Yes. Lose contact.
Hello. Hello.
Lose contact.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Leave it like that. Next slide. Next slide.
Sorry. Five. 55. Slide show from current slide.
So indirect force attainment to survey. So I have put the threshold value as 80%. First 5 questions I have given you is the questionnaire. You evaluate. You must be some good way. Very good. Highly rated of this one. Based on that, it is marked. And if it is more than 80%, then we are calling level of attainment is 3. Otherwise, it is 2 between no 80% threshold. More than 70% of the students have given 80% or more, attainment is 3. Otherwise, it is 2 between 60 and 70. Same rubric I am using. Then we have given the attainment values for each of these and calculate the average. You get 2.25. Go to the next slide, please. So direct attainment through CIE and SEE, it was 3.1. Earlier we have calculated. And indirect now, just now we have seen it is 2.25. So generally it is recommended that 20% of the indirect assessment is to be taken and 80% of the direct assessment. So the next step is for total attainment, we consider 80% direct attainment and 20% indirect attainment. So that the direct attainment is 2.31. The direct attainment includes both internal assessment and end semester exams. And end course surveys, these are 2.25. And you take 80% of that 2.31 and 20% of 2.25, it becomes 2.3. So in a similar fashion, the total attainments for all the courses have to be calculated. So this is for one course I have explained. The same process is to be done for all the courses. So at the end of each course, you have to take the course end survey and compute the indirect attainments. Take 20% of that, 80% of that, you get the total attainment for your course. And you have to fix a target for this and compare whether you are able to achieve the target or not. That is how course attainments are calculated for each course. Next slide, please. Yes. If you remember, after calculating or putting the weightages for all the courses, we have one matrix. For that, I have included in that course attainment here. Course attainment that is calculated from the earlier slide. Just go back one on the step. So what was the value? 2.3. For C101, it is 2.3. Next slide. So you can see C101, it is 2.3. That is the attainment. And the others, whatever we have written earlier from that table, I have taken. COPO mapping with strengths, I have taken further. The last column that we have given, that we have given. I hope you have followed what this matrix is, right? Then like that, for C102, This attainment is 2.75, 2.5, like that for all the courses. So these are the CO attainments, and CO matrix as it is, I have taken the earlier matrix. There is no difference. Next slide. Yes. Now we have to calculate the direct attainments for all courses. That is 2.3. The first row I am talking, C101. What is 2.3? That is the course attainment. And 3 is the mapping strength for C101. Multiply 3 with the course attainment divided by 3. Because for the maximum, this is weighted average I am calculating. Divide by 3. So like that for all the columns in the first row, do the same exercise. You can see for all those things that weightages are multiplied with 2.3, 2.3, 2.3, 2.3. Similarly, the second row we are multiplying with 2.7, that is the course attainment. 2.7, 2.7, etc. And the mapping strengths are the first one. So like that, you complete this table by putting all the values and then take the average. Have you followed this? If there is any doubt, please ask me. I will clarify. Okay. So this is the average direct attainments for all courses. This is because again POs, direct attainments, indirect attainments, you have to price. So this is direct attainments for POs. This is how you can calculate. Next table. Next. So for indirect attainments, consider program exit surveys from all these tables. Earlier, course and survey only from the students. But now, program and survey, how do you know whether they have attained these things or not? So you have to consider all these stakeholders. What is stakeholder? Students, parents, and employees or recruiters. They visit this. And also some external peers also, external members also will visit. For example, external practical examiners have come. You can take survey from them also. And each people, they can be given a questionnaire. And they will be asked to fill up the questionnaire and give it. So for indirect attainment, at the end of the program, multiple course surveys have to be collected, not single. Whereas course and survey, only one from the students. For program and survey, from all the stakeholders put together, you have to take this. Next one. So this is the feedback survey. There should be question on all POs, whether they have acquired that or not. So slightly modify these questions. POs already you know, slightly modify that and take the feedback from the students. The next one. Next slide. From the parents. Next slide. Employees or recruiters. These are the three formats I have given you. So you have to collect separately from all the three. Follow and use the rubrics. Find out the attainment. You can find out the attainment using the rubrics, giving the mark for this and calculate. And take the average of all this. From the students, parents, and recruiters or employers. Take the average. Next one. Yes. This is the final table that I am showing you. The first column. Now here, total attainment is 80% direct and 20% indirect attainment. After taking the survey, same methodology you follow. Direct attainment you have 80% of that you take, indirect attainment through surveys 20% you take it. So calculate the total PO attainment. Now you see the first column is the PO number. The second column is direct attainment. Already we have calculated. Indirect attainment. I am giving the third column. I have not computed it, but you can do that. Indirect attainment. Third column is that. And now I am taking 80% of direct attainment, 80% of second column, and 20% of the third column I have written there. Total attainment. Last but one column is the total attainment. What is the last column? Target. How did you get this target attainment? The table. All COs, mapping strength, and the average we have taken. That is written. So this is how. This is the total attainment achieved by the students and target attainment.
If it is more than targeted, then we change the target.
It could be. You can change the targets. Yes, yes, yes. So this is how we have to compute indirect PO assignments, and finally, you can drop these to 80% and 20%. I hope you have an overall idea of OBE now, right? And I've also asked you to spend some time on individual assignments. You are asking student wise. Yes, how much time is there? 15 minutes. Okay, I can complete this thing. So this is class performance, overall performance, right? Always I ask this question. In what way students are benefited by these computations? You are not telling anything to the students. These calculations are for you. Or in other words, your attainments are your achievements you are computing. And keep it in the file for the benefit of the verifier. How you are passing this on to the students? The same old credit, grade card you are giving it. Same marks, whatever mark you have secured in internal assessment, converting it to some grade and giving that card at the end of the course. Are these things are reflected in that? No, where we are making. Then what to do? Unless, in addition to that anyway you cannot avoid. You have to give that grade card for the benefit of other institutions at least. In addition to that, you can give another progress report stating that a student is expected to have this much of attainment value. This is his attainment. Student-wise report can be generated and given it as a supplement to the student. That is what we can do. But so far, the colleges are not doing that. They are not doing that. Only they are calculating this and displaying it for the sake of NAC and MBA. But the student don't know whether it is achieved or not. What is that he has achieved? Except answering the questionnaire, he doesn't have a record of what he has achieved. Only we are calculating, computing. From the marks he has secured, and we are giving only marks and nothing else. Then how are we justifying it? Then you can extend this by calculating the attainment student wise. So recently, I was thinking this for the past 1 year or 2 years, how to do that. Recently, I could get one research paper on this. Student wise attainment, not from this country, from other countries, some people have published. I happened to read it very recently. So from that, I could give you some inputs on that. How to calculate, compute, it is not at all difficult. It is not that much laborious. Now that you have understood the most laborious, so if you have understood this, that will not be difficult for you at all. And I am not asking you to implement that straight away, but you should have an idea. At least for our sake, we should know. Now what we are saying, a student has secured more than 70% marks. That target you are putting. So if a student is above that, you are putting 3 attainment. By that, what is that you are doing? A student who has not secured that 70% also is included with that attainment, isn't it? That attainment is common to the class, not to the students who have secured more than 70. It is class-wise attainment that you are paying. So that means those who have not scored 70%, there is no differentiation between the student who has scored more than 70% or less than 70% as far as the course attainment is concerned. Do you agree with that or not? Yes, any doubt? So in that case, how do you help the students? The next slide. Okay, this slide number, madam. Okay. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay. Right. I think the other 3 course studies are there, not more than that. Student-wise attainments. I have considered one student, right? He has scored 70 marks, 70%. CO 1 at 1.1. Like that, those are the marks secured by him. First Prof. One course, one student. he has secured so many marks. So using the same rubric, now I have formulated a rubric here. If the percentage obtained in direct assessment by student is greater than or equal to 60, the attainment is 3. So I have written there 3 attainment for this student. CO 101.1, 101.22, like this I have written the attainments. And the average I have taken 2.6. Okay, you can compute this, you can compute the marks, use the rubric, convert that into attainment, calculate the average in all the courses. So his attainment, individual attainment is 2.6. Course attainment. Right. And then similarly, indirect. The student would have given you one question here. By answering that, you evaluate only that particular one. Based on that, formulate a rubric and write the attainment values for indirect. Yes, and take 80% of that, 20% of this. So that will be the student attainment in a particular course. Do you agree with that or not?
Yes.
Yes, next slide. Yes. So for total attainment, you take 80% of direct attainment and 20% indirect attainment. You have taken 80% and 20% added in a similar fashion. The total attainments of all the courses have to be calculated for each student. Right? Agree? I think I have answered your question. She answered in the beginning. How do you know what is his performance? Individual student wise. So this is how you can conclude. Based on these course attainments, student wise direct PO attainments can be computed. Same matrix you take it. For all courses, combined matrix is there. Take this attainment of the student and generate a table like that, multiplying the attainment with the weightage, divide by 3, you write it, and then based on the course attainment, student wise direct PO attainments can be computed. Next slide. Yes, these are the attainments. Student wise. Second column is the student wise attainments. Direct attainment. And this is the matrix. Same matrix I am taking it. Multiplying, divided by 3, and average I am taking 3. So this is PO attainments. The last one is the PO attainments of that particular student. Direct attainments. Right? Next slide. Similarly, based on the feedback, PO, then indirect attainments you take. But in this, you may encounter a difficulty. Each student has to be assessed. Because the parent would have given an employer. Are you considering student wise or not? If you are not considering, don't give it. And student wise, you can take it. And employer, this parent, you can take it. And if you want faculty also, you can include in that. You can take. And from that feedback, calculate the indirect attainment of that particular. So direct attainment, indirect attainment, total attainment. 80% of TA, 20% of IDA will give it. So this is student attainment of PO. Student PO assignment at the end of the program. Next slide, please. Yes. This report in a generate. PO wise. What is the target fixed? What is the TFL attainment obtained by the student? You can do it.
Olympiads which didn't write the
Yes. But this is what we can try.
one small mistake was
It may not have validity as that of a grade card, but it will help the student and also employees to see where they stand against these POs. If attainment is correct, then definitely it will help them. For example, if somebody is very good in communication skills, the corresponding PO you will achieve the maximum value. And similarly, lifelong learning it may be very good. The others also using the tools, latest technology and tools, if it is good, you will be employed in that area. So like that, it will be helpful to student if you can compute the PO attainment values and give in addition to what we are giving another card like this, that will be helpful and that will be meaningful. OBE will be meaningful. Otherwise, it is useful only to the faculty to the extent of submitting to the experts.
Say for example, sir, in our spring we have advanced learners and slow learners also. Suppose in a course at any one paper, so I can conduct 2 assessment tests based on that CO and these things, and I can do student wise at times.
Yes, yes.
And is it justifiable if I can classify them as keep some threshold value? So okay, I can classify them as advanced learners and slow learners. Is it okay if I can do that?
You can classify them by the performance in the examination, but you cannot have different these things for different types of learners because it is a relative performance.
Relative performance.
Relative performance.
Student wise we will be doing that.
Yes, student wise you will be
Student wise we will
right,
be doing.
right.
So suppose.
You can make use of this information for identifying the slow learners and advanced learners. Definitely
We
you
can
make
use
of
this.
Oh yes,
We can use that.
you can use it. Definitely.
Because otherwise it is becoming a qualitative for a teacher to identify.
But the problem is at the end of the program we are doing
No, I am not telling.
course outcome. Based on the course outcome also, but student is leaving you by that time.
No, I am not telling like that, sir. Suppose if I have to start a process to identify an advanced learner and a slow learner. After 10 days of teaching or 15 days of teaching, in that 15 days of teaching, I can conduct 2 tests and based on that.
No, that will not help you.
That will not
help you because only after undergoing training you are assessing it. Simply. But in the beginning of the course, you cannot do that. For example, let us say at the end of the course, based on the course attainments, you may identify you want to be slow learners and fast learners. That will be helpful to the next.
Only first interval assessment can we do? After
You can do first internal assessment course attainments will tally clear and help the students. This is only to help the students.
Yes.
Yes,
Help
we
you
help
of
the
the
students for
students
helping
only.
out. You can do that.
Because as a class teacher,
Right.
we need to identify.
That is the formative assessment philosophy. This comes under formative assessment. At various stages, you can assess during the semester. Because after the semester, he will be leaving you.
Yes.
So only whatever you can extend the help, that will be only during the semester. Then you are teaching the course. Yes, you can do it. Next slide, please. Yes. That's all.
We have one difficulty.
Yes.
Before we adopted the CBCS, our mark sheet had internal marks out of 30 and external marks out of 70. So direct assessment, it was easy for us to do on ACE. Now we are giving an overall grade. There is no separate grade given for internal assessment and semester end examination. Of course, internal assessment marks we know, so we will be able to do the calculation for CIA 1 and CIA 2. But only for semester end examination.
Semester examination, I have understood your question. They will be given only grade, not marks.
Strong grade.
No, for a course, they are giving a grade.
No, that also includes their internal assessment and the semester end examination. Exclusively for semester end examination.
They are not showing separate marks.
Internal, no, it's not. So, under 100 we should find out what is the difficulty there. Whether it is possible or not.
Marks they are giving.
Internal marks, we know value, therefore we know.
You know.
We know. Semester end examination marks are not known to anybody except examination.
But grade they are giving now.
Grade semester end examination, grades
Each
are
course
not
is given a grade. Each
Yes,
course is
yes,
given a grade.
yes.
But that includes internal assessments plus SE.
But in fact, FDP colleges what they follow is they don't club the internal performance with the end semester examination to declare the grade. There will be a separate pass. Only the end semester examination. Otherwise, what happens is it leads to dilutions. Internal assessment give full marks. We add this.
But we have a minimum pass in semester examination. It is not reflected on mark sheet.
But I think you can work out a way out by discussing with the exam. This is what you want, isn't it? In the end semester examination, what is the grade the students are getting?
Yes.
It may not be reflected in that, doesn't matter. But you
Can
should
be
have,
to the teacher.
you should have information. The teachers can be given information. Okay, anything else? I think I have completed on time.
The online questions.
I welcome all the participants, both online and offline, to join the question answer session and get clarified with what you have learned. If there is any gap that can be clarified by sir.
Any questions? You can unmute yourself and you can ask the questions. To all the online participants, any questions or any doubts you have, you can unmute yourself and you can get it clarified. Thank you.
The offline participants can come on to the podium and we can get their questions clarified. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Question.
I have left you some
They are asking.
question. My doubts. All that. Please get an attempt. Now you can do it because you have enough inputs. You want me to discuss some of those things, right, Parmesh? It's all right, otherwise, you can raise your doubts and my contact number and email ID is given. I will be happy to answer some of those queries.
Sir, there is a question from the chat box. Sir, this one. It makes it.
The question is for the benefit of others. Sir, we have very huge syllabus to cover in limited time frame. You cannot afford to be very innovative in assessment. How to solve this problem? As I told you, covering the syllabus is not the issue. I talked, but you could not learn. That is the first slide I started with. That is the philosophy of outcome. So syllabus, my request to all the faculty is, you need not teach everything in the classroom. So you have to leave some of the topics, easier topics to the students to learn on their own. And also you have to evolve. Maybe you had one session on pedagogical approaches. You have to evolve, which is flipped classroom teaching. So you upload the course material, whatever you want to teach, well in advance for some of the topics, easier topics, and ask the students to come prepared and discuss for 10 minutes. So whatever you have taught in 1 hour earlier, that can be completed, discussed in 15 minutes. It is not necessary. What is that we are teaching in the classroom? Everything is available in textbooks. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
They also have access to textbooks. As I told you, if they have no access for the knowledge or whatever we are teaching, then you have to complete the 100% syllabus in the class. Now you can give references. They can learn on their own. That is one of the PO. So you see that they develop that particular PO outcome. They must be able to learn on their own so that the burden on the teacher. So what I am saying is I am not asking you not to teach. Whether there are some topics, whether you teach or not, they can learn on their own. Such things you need not spend time. Instead, evolve alternative pedagogical methods to promote learning among the students. That is what is required. Earlier days, that is important. I have to complete the syllabus verbatim. What is the use? No, these days that is not required. Flipped classroom is the best methodology that one can acquire. You can upload the notes, everybody is having the access, and you can discuss the topic if they have doubts. That is why what you are doing is flipped classroom. The advantage is they are studying before you are teaching. So before coming to the classroom, they are learning and coming to the class. Your job as a teacher is to clear the doubts, engage them in discussion. So that is how you have to evolve alternate methods rather than mechanically merely completing the syllabus in the classroom. That is my answer for this. But these assignments are very, very essential because the assignments that we are doing or the assessment during the semester, they are more useful to the student community rather than just covering the syllabus in the classroom. They are more useful for them. Yes. These days, it can be documented online. Digital form. Physical forms are not necessary for documentation. And UGC also discouraging basically stationery. Because it is available in digital form. You can store it in digital form. Because flipped classroom, you have to upload your lecture material. You have to upload it. You will bring a file. Or you will lecture file. What else you want for preparing this one? That's why you have to use digital discoveries. So, not necessarily to spend all the anything else? So I would like to conclude if there are no doubts with a small story. All of us like stories. You see, there's a woodcutter. He's in search of a job. So he went to a timber depot. And he has a timber depot, and also in the backyard there are very big trees to be cut. And he offered his services. Okay, he has employed him, and he was given a fat salary. He joined the next day, and he was given an axe to cut the trees. First day, he could fell 10 trees of this size. He was very happy and elated. Went to the manager and said, I could fell 10 trees. Next day he came, but he could fell only 9 trees. And he slightly started worrying, why yesterday I could cut 10 trees, now only 9. 5 days became 8, 4 days became 7. Then he really started worrying. Something is wrong with me. What is happening to me? Then he went to the manager and said. Then the manager asked one question. Are you sharpening the axe at the end of the day? No, sir, you have given that. Using it, putting it there, and again using it. So the problem is not the axe. You have to sharpen it. So that is very, very apt to all our teachers. Unless we sharpen our skills, we become like our efficiency. No. So this is very, very important. You want to update your skills continuously. I'm learning at the age of 73. Why can't you? That should be the spirit. So why should I learn all these things? Yes, I have passion. I'm learning. So as a teacher, you should have passion in your profession. That is the first thing. That I cannot afford to do injustice to my students. If I'm a bad teacher, classes together they will be spoiled. Now I have no right. Having joined this profession, you have to develop passion and improve your skills, sharpen your skills, get more new things, and you have to be active. Then only we can do justice to our profession. So this is always, I remind wherever I go, it's good cut an example, sharpen your skills. So learn, unlearn, and relearn. This is the philosophy we have. Thank you.